You're gonna hear my morning roosters.
Well, that's right, because it's barely sunrise there, right, Hazel?
You're gonna hear my morning roosters.
We already. That's right, because it's barely sunrise there, right, Hazel?
You're gonna hear my morning roosters.
We already have a question from last time. I'm going to put in a chat for later. Good morning, Richmond High. We're going to get started about a minute and a half. All right. Good morning, Richmond High. Welcome to our fourth homeroom live, part 2 of financial aid. And so we can get started, I'm going to pass it to Hazel, who's going to be our first presenter today.
Aloha, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning in our homeroom live as we continue with our financial aid part 2 series. We're going to be talking about the California Student Aid Commission or Cal grants that are offered. But as a quick review, in our part 1, we had talked about what is financial aid. So it's the process for you to be able to get money to help you pay for your college education. We also discussed sources of financial aid. So it comes from the federal government, it may come from the state government, or even local and private vendors. We also talked about types of financial aid, which consists of grants or gift aids. We talked about work study. We talked what scholarships are, as well as probably introduced you about loans. We also reviewed application processes. So students could fill out a free application for federal student aid, which is called FAFSA, or they would be able to fill out the California DREAM Act application. And there was some information provided and who would be able to submit which application type. And so that's what we're going to talk about. As you see on the screen, it has A, B, and C. So we want you to think about what that might mean as we further go into our process or presentation about Cal grants. On our next slide, this is where we would be able to share you the formula that you would use in order for you to be determined eligible for the Cal grant. So we're looking at the FAFSA, or the free application for student aid, or if you have to complete the California DREAM Act application is the form that needs to be completed. Plus you also need to have your grade point average verification sent to the California Student Aid Commission for them to determine which Cal grant you are eligible for. And for our GPA verification, that is automatically sent through the district. So that we just want you to make sure you're maintaining your grade point average to the best of your ability, above a 3.0 if possible, so that you can be eligible for aid. On our next slide, we have a screenshot of what students are eligible for. So they're looking at your family's income as well as your assets, so what your family may own, to determine what is your financial strength and ability to be able to pay for your colleges. So looking on here would determine if you are eligible for the Cal Grant A or C. You need to have at least a minimum of 3.0 GPA. But if you're eligible for the Cal Grant B, they're looking at a 2.0 or higher GPA. There's the breakdown based on your family size as well as the income that they're looking at, as for dependent students as well as independent students. And if you have further questions about that, you can always ask us in the chat and somebody would gladly be able to clarify that for you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our next presenter, who is Jenny.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Hazel. To be eligible for a Cal Grant, the students must also be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen as defined in the free application for federal student aid. If a student qualifies under Assembly Bill AB 540, he or she may qualify for Cal Grant funding. This includes Deferred Action Childhood Arrivals, DACA, who are AB 540 eligible. We'll talk more about what that means later in the session, as well as which application the student should complete. You must also be a California resident and attend an accredited California college or university at least half time in the 2021-22 academic year, and each subsequent term the student is enrolled. Next slide. So there are two types of Cal Grants, entitlement and competitive. While the actual Cal Grant itself is the same, for example, entitlement Cal Grant B pays the same as competitive Cal Grant B. The student cohort being considered for the awards is different. The only thing you need to remember is that entitlement Cal Grants are guaranteed for students who meet eligibility requirements. Competitive Cal Grants are also great, but much, much more difficult to get. Why are entitlement Cal Grants easier to get? Basically, if a student meets the requirements, they are entitled to receive a Cal Grant. The state does not put a limit on the number of entitlement Cal Grants which can be awarded, nor the total dollar amount that can be disbursed to students meeting the basic eligibility requirements. In short, if you meet the requirements, you are entitled to a Cal Grant. Here's what should matter the most to you. High school graduates and last year's graduates are eligible for entitlement Cal Grants, meaning that the easiest time for them to be awarded a Cal Grant is when they graduate from high school or the year after that. So what's a competitive award? A competitive award is a Cal Grant that is awarded based on a scoring matrix. Unlike entitlement awards, competitive awards are limited. Generally speaking, any student who is not awarded a Cal Grant entitlement award will be considered for a Cal Grant competitive award. But let's do the math. Nearly 300,000 students are considered for 41,000 competitive awards. So as you can see, it's very difficult to get a competitive award. Under the best circumstance, naturally, you don't need to remember all of these details. Just remember that helping to position your students, to position yourself to start college right after high school will ensure the best opportunity for financial aid. Next.
For each Cal Grant, I'm going to go into each of them. So for the first one, Cal Grant A, awards target lower to middle class incomes, have a minimum GPA of a 3.0, and provides assistance with tuition and fees for associates or bachelor degree programs that are at least 2 years in durations. So at the bottom, you will see the maximum dollar amount. If you attend a community college, your award will go on Community College Reserve. For the CSUs, the maximum yearly award amount is $5,742. For UCs, it's $12,570. And for privates or nonprofits in California, it's $9,084. And then for profits in California, is $4,000. So for Cal Grant Awards for students attending a community college, as I mentioned, is your award will go on Community College Reserve for up to 2 years. And it could be a third year, but you have to request that via your student portal. Students with kids or dependent children, a new award called an Access Award or a Living Allowance Those students may be eligible for a maximum of $6,024 at the community college with Cal Grant A. Next slide, please. So for Cal Grant B, the minimum GPA requirement is a 2.0 and have lower income and access requirements than Cal Grant A. So this award is for lower income students and provides them with a living allowance or access award, as I mentioned before, as well as assistance with tuition and fees. This grant operates a little differently than Cal Grant A because the first year students are only getting the living allowance, which is $1,656. And then starting your sophomore, junior, and senior year of college, you would get the award for tuition and fees, addition to the living allowance, as you will see in the breakdown at the bottom. So for Cal Grant B, the coursework must be at least one academic year in length and maybe a certificate or degree program. So once again, students with kids may be eligible for $6,024 for a living allowance with Cal Grant B. And then going into Cal Grant C. So for Cal Grant C, if students are not eligible for A or B, they can still be considered for Cal Grant C if they enroll into an occupational or technical program of at least 4 months in length. So if you're thinking about like cosmetology, for example, you can apply for Cal Grant C. Students still must be meet all income and access requirements and have financial needs, as well as we discussed earlier. So unlike Cal Grant A and B, Cal Grant C have no GPA requirement, and student must attend a Cal Grant eligible institution that offers a recognized program. For example, Laney College have the cosmetology program. So for students who are eligible for Cal Grant C, the schools also ask for additional information via the Cal Grant C supplement form because students are ranked for eligibility based on certain factors. So having said that, right now, since everything is virtual, virtually all eligible Cal Grant C recipients are awarded. And for students with kids, the maximum yearly living allowance is a little lower. You can be eligible for up to $4,000 a year if you have kids. At the bottom is the breakdown. So community college, you have the maximum yearly award amount is $1,094. You don't get it for CSU or UCs. If you attend a private or non-private, for books and supplies, the maximum is $547, and for tuition and fees is $2,462, and it's the same for for-profit programs in California. And I'm going to pass it back to Jenny.
Thank you. Let's see. So that's a different slide, but I'll read that one. So the middle class scholarship, undergraduate students. There we go. Which Cal Grant is the best? While there are 3 different types of Cal Grants students can receive, it is important to note that students can only receive one type of grant at any given time, A, B, or C. When students apply for Cal Grant, they are not applying specifically for just Cal Grant A or just Cal Grant B. They are being considered for all 3 types of Cal Grants, as well as the middle class scholarship. In the event that students meet the requirements for multiple grants, the grant deemed most beneficial is applied and the students will be notified of the Cal Grant awarded. Students who are not awarded a Cal Grant after graduating high school still have the opportunity to receive entitlement award. For students at a community college, they may never receive a Cal Grant if they transfer to an eligible 4-year institution. I'm sorry, they may receive a Cal Grant if they transfer to an eligible 4-year institution. And for undocumented students, the California DREAM Act application is a one-stop shopping for the majority of financial aid they are eligible to receive. Next slide.
All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the middle class scholarship. So the middle class scholarship is designed to assist new and continuing UC and CSU students with family incomes of up to $184,000 and net worth assets of up to $184,000. So to apply for the middle class scholarship for this upcoming FAFSA year, students must submit by March 2nd, 2021, the FAFSA, or for AB 540 students, the California DREAM Act. And then this varies based on the number of eligible students, institutions, state funding, and the state funding allocated. And the amounts are determined after federal Pell Grants, Cal Grants, and institutional grants are awarded. You cannot receive both a federal and or state grant and the middle class scholarship. And qualifying students will be notified by the California Student Aid Commission, and the commission will also determine the maximum awards. And the middle class scholarship does not automatically renew, therefore students must reapply to the middle class scholarship every year. And next slide. The Student Success Completion Grant became effective in fall of 2018. It is awarded to California community college students who collect the Cal Grant and are full-time. Students are required to enroll in 12 or more units, meet both college and federal satisfactory academic standards, and be exempt from non-resident tuition. The award amount is $649 to $2,000 per semester with a 24 to 30 unit maximum based on state funding. And in order to participate in this grant, you must meet these requirements: attend school full-time, receive either a Cal Grant B or C, maintain a minimum of a 2.0 cumulative GPA, and have sufficient unmet financial needs to receive this grant. Students should direct their questions about this program to any California Community College website. Next slide. And the California Promise Grant, formerly known as the Board of Governors or BOG fee waiver, is available to any students who are California residents attending California community colleges. The per unit enrollment fees, which is currently $46 a unit, are waived for eligible students. Students can contact the financial aid office at the community college for additional information or check their local community college website. And the California Chafee Grant. So this is for students who are current or former foster youth. The California Chafee Grant may provide some additional financial aid for college. If you are the foster parent or know a foster youth, tell them about this program for foster children. The Chafee Grant provides up to $5,000 annually to current or former foster youth for college or vocational training at any accredited college in the US. The continued availability of this grant is dependent on state funding, and to be eligible, you current or former foster youth must have been in California foster care on their 16th birthday and may not have reached their 26th birthday before July 1st, 2021. Students are encouraged to apply during their senior year of high school as soon as possible or on or after October 1st. And to apply, you must complete either the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act and a separate Chafee Grant application, which the website is on the slide.
Next slide. All right, so now we're at the most commonly
form of free financial aid, scholarships, right? So the majority of the scholarships are going to require a variation of these things, including an application, letters of recommendation that are typically from a teacher, a counselor, a coach, or a community member. Some even, especially the more prestigious ones or the higher amounts, may require an interview. So just make sure you do your research and apply, take advantage of those opportunities. Next slide. So how does financial aid work? Basically, the college is going to determine and offer students a financial aid based on the following equation, also known as the need analysis. So they're going to take the cost of attendance for the housing option that you've included in your financial aid application, plus the tuition and fees, and then they're going to subtract the expected family contribution, or your EFC. This will then give you a financial need, the financial aid eligibility that'll determine your financial aid package. Next slide. Sorry, how much federal student aid can I receive? These are the maximum amounts for the major programs for a dependent freshman in 2020-21. So you can see just one big note is that these are maximum awards. There is no guarantee that any single student will receive the maximum award from any program. So you can receive less than this amount. Not all schools participate in all of these programs. The student must have a significant level of financial need in order to receive maximum grant awards. Students should be aware that federal work-study funds may run out, so it's important to apply as early as possible. If a parent borrower is unable to obtain a PLUS loan, the undergraduate dependent student may be eligible for additional unsubsidized loans. The student should contact the school's financial aid office for more information. So we're going to go ahead and stop here because we want to make sure we answer your questions, and I'm going to let the rest of the team jump in.
All right. The first question we have, if a student just moved to California, what financial aid are they available for? So it's going to depend if the student is eligible for FAFSA or not eligible for FAFSA. So if you're eligible for FAFSA, meaning you're a citizen, permanent resident, eligible non-citizen, you're pretty much eligible for everything. If you're undocumented, you're going to have to make sure you have enough of the years to meet the AB 540 requirement to get state aid. And then everybody's eligible for scholarships that they meet the eligibility criteria for. So that doesn't matter location. If you need more information, want to talk about your personal circumstance, you can come to our Cash Out Wednesdays, or what we're calling COWs, on Wednesdays after school. Or you can make appointments with myself, Miguel Richmond from Richmond Promise, to talk about it. The next question is about Cal Grant A, and it was like, is that like all the money we get for Cal Grant A? Like, so if you are eligible for the Cal Grant based on the school you're going to, you get all that money that was on that chart, right? So if you're going to a UC and you got Cal Grant A, you're gonna get all 12,000, is it 900 right now, roughly right now? They keep adjusting it. So that's for that one. And then there was another one. If you get other grants, will the Cal Grant people lower what you get? No, the Cal Grant amount, you get it, you get it. So the way that, and that we quickly went over that last slide about how they do it. So they're gonna take your family's EFC, or expected family contribution, and based on that, they're gonna put all the different grants you're eligible for, and that's available to you, right? So Cal Grant, they don't adjust the Cal Grant amount. And then there's also some federal grants like Pell Grant, and you're eligible to maximum, but that's why you should get your financial data as soon as possible, because there's For the federal grants and some of the smaller grants at different universities, there's only a certain amount of money or pot of money, and once they give it all out, that's it. So those amounts, if you go to the CSU, you're going to get the full 5,742. They won't lower it because you also have Pell Grant, and you also are going to get EOP sometimes give grants, or there's a state university grants. And then if a student goes out of state, which of these will work? So Cal Grants are only for schools in California. You can't bring Cal Grant out with you, but the federal grants are anywhere out of state. You can use federal grants, and scholarships can go out of state. If you're eligible for work study, that's available out of state. Loans are available out of state. For the federal loans, there is a California Dreamer loan that's only used for in California for undocumented students. And I think that's all of the questions I see in the YouTube comments. Thank you for joining us today. I will be sending out the slides to the teachers along with some follow-up activities. And then just another plug, seniors, we need you to get your Fast for a Dream Act app done. The deadline's coming up March 2nd, and we're here to help you if you need it. And then the other plugs we didn't have time for that I want to give is if you live in Richmond, the best scholarship you can apply to that's guaranteed as long as you're eligible is the Richmond Promise. No essay, no GPA requirement. You just need to get your financial aid document done. And even if you are ineligible for Fast for a Dream Act, you can still apply to the Richmond Promise. And to find out about that promise, you should contact Miguel. And when I give you the slides to the teachers and also publish them in Advisory Google Classroom, you'll have Miguel's contact information. All right, and thank you for joining us, Homeroom Live. Have a good day. And we're out. The beauty that they're all go to their first peer teacher, most of them, is like if we go a couple minutes over, it's like they're staying in the same place.